Domino's Pizza. What do I have to say about Domino's Pizza? Well, when they first started, in like when I first started eating Domino's Pizza, it was in the '80s. Some people went there, friends of mine or whatever. I can't remember. Maybe it was when we snuck into school. Yeah, we snuck pizzas into school. Um, but let's see. Anyways, it was in the '80s, and even in the early '90s, it tasted just horrible. It was the worst pizza in town back then. It tasted like literally like the dough was like cardboardish. It was just horrible. And they put the worst ingredients for toppings on. I mean, you could get a pizza for cheap, but it was not a good one. They've really come a long ways in the last decade or two. Now it actually tastes really good, like pizza should. And of course, the price is a couple of dollars more per pizza. But all that aside, the struggles that their company has made to improve their product, let's just skip the whole, if it doesn't get there in 10 minutes, it's free thing because that got them sued. Couple people, one of whom I used to work with at a local area for rehabilitation for traumatic brain injuries. Um, yeah, that guy, he got foobarred for life basically because Domino's pizza driver was trying to not. Yeah, you see, you guys probably didn't know this. I guess we won't skip this. Um, Sorry, I digress. Domino's pizza drivers, they used to have to pay for the pizza if they did not get it there within 10 minutes or less. And, people would always sit there with it, call and have a little stopwatch or something. Oh, you didn't get there, it's free. And they'd call them on it, whether it was 10 minutes or not, who knows. But the Domino's pizza drivers were driving like crazed bees. I mean, flying all over the place in city streets. And there was a couple of accidents. Go figure, get these poor saps that you got driving for you, busting ass to make ends meet and crappy pizza delivery job, and they don't want to have to pay for the pizzas that the other guy's going to eat too. So yeah, that company policy went the way of the dodo bird, which yeah, it's a crazy promise. I don't know why anybody would do that, especially their employees. Which brings me to my next point. All right, Domino's Pizza. I had a friend that worked there at the time, and he seemed like an alright guy, and he's always trying to get me to work there with him. I had a couple of friends actually, but the one he was always like, hey, I know the manager, which I won't name names because the guy still manages there, I'm sure. But I I go down there, and one night we're all talking because I used to hang out there with them when they were at work and whatever. And he says, "Hey, we could hire James, couldn't we?" And for those of you who didn't know, my birth given name is James. So yeah, it's not that I came out Evilstalkerhorne. That happened over a number of years and adventures. But yes, um, we can hire James, can't we? And the manager said no. I was like, well, why not? And he said because the policy for the company said that your hair could not be below your like ear line or whatever. Now, what kind of Nazi BS is that, So I was like, well, really? I'm good enough to eat here. I'm good enough to spend my money here, and you guys will deliver me pizzas and such. But as far as being a representation of your facility, that's not good enough. I said, well, can't I just tie it back? Most jobs, you tie it back. You got girls here, they got longer hair than me. They've got all this other stuff. No, no, no. You can't work here because your hair is too long. You'd have to tie it, you have to cut it off. You couldn't just tie it back, you know? And I said, well, that's not going to happen because the first job that I ever got was a crappy restaurant job. I mean, the first job other than delivering papers and stuff that, you show up and you work this many hours and you put on, put your little punch card in the time clock type of job. I did other jobs, mowing lawns, doing papers. I worked ever since I was like 13. So, anyways, this is the first time card there's the boss right in front of you type job. So we clear on that one. The very first one I got was at a place, I'll say it now because they're out of business, Mr. C's. And they were a restaurant, family owned, wife and husband. And that's another story or two. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, I cut my hair because I needed money. And no place around Iowa was hiring people with long hair or earrings. And I had both. Didn't want to have tattoos. You know, not my thing, but you know, I've always had long hair, I've always had earrings. So I cut my hair, right? And I go in there and I start working, and there's this guy, and he's a cook. Now the cooks got paid more money. They got to work up front. They didn't have to bust tables and crap like I was doing as a dishwasher. I hated dishwashing. I was a smart enough guy, and I was a good cook. It's like, hey, promote me to cook, and they just wouldn't do it. You know, I wanted to work as a cook because it was a better job, but they hired me as a dishwasher because that's what they needed. Okay, cool. So through the weeks, many dishwashers came and went because it was less than a desirable job. In fact, when I applied there, the lady told me, she says, "You don't want to work here." She leaned in real close. "You don't want to work here." And then she looked away. Well, don't tell me I don't want to do something because I'm a freaking rebel. If you tell me not to say something or not to do something, I'm going to be tempted even more to do it. And plus, you know, there's a pretty big carrot at the end of the stick. I needed money. They needed help, obviously. So I was like, yeah, you know, I got this sports car and gas bills, and yeah, hell yeah, I want to buy guitars. So I immediately applied there and, of course, got the job. But I had to cut my hair. So, again, I digress, sorry. I'm in the break room. Unlike the job I have now, you actually had break rooms, like a break where you could go away from the customers and the other coworkers possibly and sit for 15 or 20 minutes and just go, oh God, this sucks so bad. I do miss having breaks. I haven't had breaks for the last 20 years. Like, not a break. And don't get me started on that one. Anyways, so, oh, that includes lunch and supper in case you're wondering. So, here I am, and I'm in the break room, and I'm sitting there. We didn't have computers back then, or smartphones, cell phones at all. Not to say how old I am, but that was quite the while ago. So I'm sitting in the break room just thinking about why I did so good in school, and you know, this is the reward. And I'm sitting there, and this cook guy comes in. He takes off his hat, and he's got a big ass blonde ponytail. He's a pretty decent guy at first, so I thought, you know, he wasn't the horriblest character ever, but slacker, you know, and smoker. You know, he wasn't the cleanest guy, and no offense to smokers, but you know, a lot of them, you know, they smoke. They got shit all over their hands all the time, and everything else because smoke gets all over you. Well, anyways, so this guy, you know, he's, you know, you can send all the hate mail to eatshitandie.com, you know. Actually, eatshitandie.motherfucker.com. But, anyways, let's see, where was I? Oh, the guy. He seemed like an alright guy at the time. I didn't know him too well, and got to know him a few weeks later, but a little bit better. But anyways, the guy pulls off his hat. There's his ponytail. I'm like, well, dude, how do you get away with keeping your hair? I mean, you've got a better job. You're the cook. You're getting paid more. You're out in front of the customers a lot more than I am. I'm back here busting stuff and prepping meals and cleaning dishes and stuff. I mean, what? How the hell do they let you cut, you know, you not cut your hair? He's like, oh, well, they told me I had to cut it. Just, you know, like they probably told you. He says, I just tied it in a ponytail and had him shave the back up a couple inches, and now I just put it under my hat and nobody said anything to me. Well, that kind of pissed me off. So, ever since then, I've had a steadfast rule. I will tie my hair back. I will dress however you want me to. I'll even wear your stupid little hat. Because if you forgot your hat, they had these little paper hats, like you'd give a little kid, except it was for like restaurant worker themed. It was like white and it was cheap paper, and you stuck it over your head. It wasn't even really effective as a hairnet. It was just, it was degrading. But if you forgot your brown cloth hat, that they made you wear. You had to wear the paper hat. Short hair, long hair, or not. So, unless you're a waitress. Yeah. So, anyways, here I am. And I said, no, I'm not going to ever do this for a job again. That job did not go great. They kept on promising me that I'd get a cook job or whatever. And I had a buddy, a next door neighbor that had worked there, and he was always, oh yeah, they're going to hire you as a cook someday, someday. I'm like, yeah, I came to the realization that I did not want to work there as a cook or as a busboy, as a dishwasher, whatever. And after 3.5 months of hell, I was the only dishwasher that still worked there. And I gave them my notice, and when I left, I felt great. Great! Because that job sucked. And I thought, man, I had cool hair when I came here, and I'm going to take probably a year to grow it out again. This sucks. So, that's why I don't cut my hair. Back to the McDonald's. Hey, you're adjusting. My supervisor here is adjusting the camera angle. She says that it needs to be more like that way. But I digress. We got McDonald's, right? Or not McDonald's. I'll get to McDonald's, don't get me wrong. But, yeah. Burger King, what was the one? Oh, yeah. Domino's. You're distracting me, baby. Anyways, so here's Domino's, and they won't hire me because I got long hair. And I was like, really? I'm like, I can hang out here and talk with you when you're working, and I can't deliver pizzas? You know? Come on. And the boss guy told me, he says, if I hired you, even if you tied your hair back, sooner or later somebody from corporate comes in and checks on us, and then I would immediately have to fire you, and I would get sanctioned for hiring you in the first place, even if you tied your hair back and whatever. And I was like, really? So I just didn't eat at any Domino's. I did check it, and they do have a book. They have a little brochure that comes out with like animated drawn pictures. It used to be. They got real people in there now. But even for women, they had a certain protocol for how long their hair could be, and whatever. They probably couldn't have cool red colors or blue colors or whatever. So, anyways, this is my whole point of making this long video. I think that's bullshit. I mean, if women can have long hair and tie it back, why shouldn't a guy be able to tie his hair back at work? And if women can come to work and have their long hair out, well, why can't guys come to work and have their long hair out? And if women can dye their hair colors, I mean, this is equal rights. You see where I'm going with this shit? And it's annoying. It's really annoying. And yeah, I just don't understand how it's such a double standard. People all the time, they come in and they say, oh yeah, well, what about that weird guy? The hell with all of you. I don't think that it's fair that you've got a company that makes millions and millions of dollars every year. I mean, you got drones flying pizzas. You're so big, they've developed an app for you guys who don't know this. You got in Australia, I guess, and they are flying pizzas with drones to the customers. Very cool, but yeah, you won't hire people that look not to your idealistic view. I mean, isn't that like Nazi Hitler crap? Everybody should have blonde hair, it should be this long. Everybody should have blue eyes, it should be this height. You should not be this tone of skin. I mean, yeah, maybe that's a little bit extreme, but it's the same type of thing. It's just a watered down American version of it. So yeah, Domino's Pizza, it's not my favorite place to eat, and that's why I feel discriminated against. If I go in there and tie my hair back, and they said, okay, you got to wear a button-down shirt or something, sure, I can do that when I'm at work. I'll represent your company in a professional manner if that's what you request. You say professional is going to be this. I'll adhere to that. All right, as close as I can. I'm still going to have some cool colored hair, and if you don't like it, I'll wear a hat or whatever. But that's the whole point, is I shouldn't have to live to work. We work to live, or at least we should. Your job should not dictate the way you live your whole life. Otherwise, what's the point of living? And Domino's Pizza, wherever the corporate is, I hope you catch this. I hope you see this video. I hope you change your policy. And if you don't, I hope it costs you money. I hope it costs you so much money that maybe you don't have enough money to test your little drones anymore. I like your pizza, and I like your employees, but that company policy has to go. It's discriminatory. And nowadays, they got these great things called computers and the World Wide Web and little webcams, and I can sit here and make a video about this and voice my opinion. And there's more people with this same opinion because, you know what? People don't like being discriminated against. People don't like being treated crappier than other people just because they maybe look a little different. There's a lot of people that look different. And I think there's more of us than there are of you. And I think we should pressure Domino's as much as we can. Make my video go viral. And hey, when I start releasing my songs, buy my albums, you see why I'm so angry and annoyed all the time. That's just a small little leaf in the fire that I've got piring. There is so many more things that annoy me. I remember in an interview once, Grace Slick, from was it Jefferson Airplane or Jefferson Starship they turned into in the 80s, I guess. Grace Slick, White Rabbit Girl. She said that anybody that was over the age at 20 or 25, at some ridiculously young age, she said if anybody over the age of that was still writing hard rock music was an idiot. Or what was it? It's a fool or something. It was some derogatory term. Because you have to be angry to write rock and roll music. Well, I'm the angriest little bastard you will ever meet, Grace Slick. And yes, I am way over 20. I am over 25. Buy my album. Put pressure on Domino's Pizza. I gotta go pet some cats or something. Later.